On Friday afternoon, amid the chaos as the shooting at Fort Lauderdale International Airport was playing out, U.S. intelligence put out this report on assessing Russian activities and intentions in recent U.S. elections. It's a 25-page declassified version of a classified report that was given to both President Obama and President-elect Trump. It's worth the read if you're interested. The report is worded very strongly and its findings are definitive. On page 7, you'll find the key judgments. So I thought I would go through some of those findings and unpack them a little bit together. It begins, quote, "We assess Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. Russia's goals were to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump," unquote. It then goes on to say that officials have, quote, "high confidence in those judgments." The report goes on to describe another key judgment. Quote, "Moscow's influence campaign followed a Russian messaging strategy that blends covert intelligence operations, such as cyber activity, with overt efforts by Russian government agencies, state-funded media, third-party intermediaries, and paid social media users or trolls," unquote. Finally, it states, and I think that this is the most important judgment in the report, quote, "DHS, Department of Homeland Security, assesses that the types of systems Russian actors targeted or compromised were not involved in vote tallying," unquote. Immediately, what you will see as you read through it is that there is zero evidence, no data presented to back up the findings, nothing about methods used or the sources that they used to come to the judgments in the report, and why they deem to have high confidence in it. And that is likely understandable, given it would mean burning sources and giving away the methods U.S. intelligence or their partners use. But of course, that means this unclassified report asks the readers to take an awful lot of what is presented on faith alone. So ultimately, that's what this is all about. Do we believe U.S. intelligence officials, or do we believe Julian Assange and WikiLeaks? You know, I'd love to stand here and say that there's no way we should doubt U.S. intelligence. But then again, we remember WMDs in Iraq, Bay of Pigs, Indian nuclear testing, and so many other prime examples of U.S. intelligence failures, combined with the fact the current Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, lied to Congress about the NSA spying on U.S. citizens back in 2013. So why should we believe him now? That's the real question, isn't it? I mentioned one of the findings included the belief that Russia used state-funded media as part of their campaign. This, to me, is the most interesting judgment, because we've known for years that the Kremlin funded and controlled RT, RT.com, and RT America TV have been trying to undermine the U.S. with lots of anti-American, anti-Western propaganda. This election was likely no different. If we look at the appendix of the report, it discusses RT's long history of pumping out anti-fracking propaganda. Fracking presents a huge threat to Russian conventional gas production by Gazprom. And you may recall during the 2013 New Brunswick anti-fracking riots in 2013 that RT and Al Jazeera covered them with a little extra fervor than was probably warranted. And if you read from the RT story on the riots, you will see Kremlin propaganda at work in their reporting. Quote, "Activists and local Aboriginals have held demonstrations for a week to protest shale gas exploration in the region. The method of gas extraction involves drilling shallow, low-pressure fractures into the earth, which adds thousands of liters of chemicals to groundwater and emits foul odors from the ground," unquote. Well, if you know anything about fracking, you'll see how they added that extra bit of disinformation in their story. But that's RT for you. But you know what's driving me crazy is that lately, in an attempt to vilify the dishonest mainstream media, conservative commentators, pro-Trump journalists, and even Trump cabinet members like General Flynn appear to have no issue with RT, even praising it as a more honest source of news than our media and appearing on their network regularly. So I urge you to think twice about what you hear and read on RT, as their editor-in-chief and other leadership is closely tied to top Russian government officials. It's understandable why President-elect Trump is a bit dismissive towards this report. It's clear Russian actions have led to the undermining of American democracy. But that should in no way diminish the legitimacy of Trump's presidency. For the Rebel.Media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks a lot for watching. If you've already clicked subscribe on our YouTube channel, thank you. And if you really like what we're doing here, well, for $8 a month, you can get full-length shows that you just can't find on our YouTube channel.